Right. So the other day there was a plane crash, which is fucking insane. Right. So, and I'll show you a video of it because this is mental. I've never seen anything like this where there was some people injured, no one died. Uh, but it's just crazy stuff because this is Delta Airlines connection flight 4819, operated by Endeavour Air. Right, 21 passengers have gone to hospital. 19 of them been released. This is mental. But look, this is a video, right? You have to see this video because this is insane. So I don't know who the guy recording it was, but he literally captures the whole thing. How anyone didn't die from this is literally a miracle from God, if you believe in God, which I do. Here is a video.
Oh fuck! Oh fuck!
Flips over. I mean, you see a black, flamey smoke like that. Jesus. That is insane.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Well, hold shit, kan man kring med det.
And then you have this video, right? So this is some guy who was inside the plane, captures this.
Come on! Don't take your video! Put that phone away! On the right!
Holy fuck. Holy fuck. Holy fuck. Oh my fucking god. Yo, I was just on this fucking plane. Oh my god. Yo, I was just on this fucking plane. Holy fuck.
I mean, imagine being that guy. You've just come off the plane. Wow. Wow. So this is a statement by Delta, right? Now, I guess they've really got off the hook here for two reasons. One, I'm guessing that it was probably more of an aircraft issue, right? Because I mean, it's a Delta plane, but it was operated by Endeavour Air. But if anyone been on like connection flights, it's all linked. It's all the same. So this is a statement by Delta. Delta teams continue to respond to Monday's single aircraft accident involving Delta connection flight 4819, operated by Endeavour Air. In total, 21 passengers were injured, initially transported to local hospitals. As of Tuesday morning, 19 have been released, so that was yesterday morning. Our most pressing priority remains taking care of all customers and Endeavour crew members who were involved, said Delta CEO Ed Beston. We'll do everything we can to support them and their families in the days ahead, and I know the hearts, thoughts, and prayers of the entire Delta community are with them. We are grateful for all of the first responders and medical teams who have been caring for them. Delta's incident response team deployed to Toronto Pearson International Airport Monday evening, including specially trained Delta care team representatives who provide support for customers, employees, and their loved ones. Members of Endeavour's air leadership team are also on site to provide support and ensure full cooperation with investigators. Delta and Delta connection flights have been resumed at YYZ. However, two Delta flights are operating with larger aircrafts to allow for a greater arrival and departure capacity. Tuesday, a travel waiver remains in effect on Delta.com for YYZ customers for travel through February 20th. For the most current official information regarding Delta Flight 4819, visit news.delta.com. And they dodged a bullet. And you know what's crazy, right? So this is going over Canada, right? I was on a Delta connection flight going over Canada not that long ago, right? And I'm planning on getting another one, although this will be going straight to New York. But I don't think I'm going to book with Delta now. I don't think I can book with Delta. And look, it's not. I get plane crash. It's like they don't happen very often, but no, 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 no. That's not me. That's not me. And I'm sorry. I've got to point out this. I'm not saying this has got any like reason to do with the crash, but if you go on Delta's TikTok account, this is what they have pinned, right? It's quite funny. Um, Actually, it's not funny, but it's so not funny that you laugh because of how fucking crazy it is. This is the video, right?
Did somebody say slave?
So it's like, okay, women power, I get it. And look, I like that song, Flashing Lights, I love that. But when you're an airline, here's my thinking, right? If you're an airline, you should not be worrying about female pilots and mechanics. I mean, it doesn't look good that this is your thing. Like, you're posting about the women, and then people say women can't drive, and then the plane fucking flips over. Those memes are going to make themselves, and Delta responsible for that. And I'm not saying that it was, women who flipped it. I haven't seen anything about who the pilots were, but listen, whoever they were, they didn't get anyone killed, so give them their hats off to them, fair play. But when you go DEI, it doesn't work. Put it this way, it doesn't work. And you know what's funny? I was on a flight. I was going to Portugal like a year ago or whatever, and I was with a few of my friends, and we were ready to take off, and we hear the captain, and we heard it was a woman. The heart goes. Let me tell you. Not good, but look, for anyone who's scared of flying, don't let this be a deterrent, okay? Because yes, that is scary. Probably everyone's biggest fear, right? Being in a plane crash. But, that was handled well. And, yeah, scary stuff. It is scary stuff. But let me quickly move over to, let's go to Middle East. The Middle East, right? So in the Middle East right now, or should I say yesterday, what you had was talks between Russian representatives and United States representatives in regarding to, work out a peace deal in Ukraine. And what you have is a lot of people who are very frustrated and annoyed, and basically, calling Trump horrible things because he sent his people to go over and negotiate with Russia on behalf of Ukraine, but Ukraine weren't invited, to the talk table, right? To the big boy table. Instead, Ukraine were with, Keir Starmer, Macron, a load of European leaders who no one cares about, who have no power really, and left it to the big boys, USA, to go have the negotiations for them. And it's just funny because everyone's really talking about how dare they talk about Ukraine's the future of Ukraine without Ukraine on the table. And Donald Trump, right, gave this. He gave this is his response, right? And it's just so funny. It's so funny because it's so true, and it's stuff that I've been saying for a long time. I'll show you a couple videos, but this is the first one, right? So here we go.
And I think I have the power to end this war, and I think it's going very well. But today I heard, oh, well, we weren't invited. Well, you've been there for 3 years. You should have ended it 3 years. You should have never started it. You could have made a deal. I could have made a deal for Ukraine that would have given them almost all of the land, everything, almost all of the land, and no people would have been killed, and no city would have been demolished, and not one dome would have been knocked down. But they chose not to do it that way. And
Exactly. You've made a very good point with 3 years. You've had 3 years. Which is crazy because I remember when I literally remember being at work, first hearing about the Russia going into Ukraine with the military operation. And I remember where I was, and I can picture it now. And Jesus, 3 years goes quick. That I can tell you. But yeah, it's like such a good point. Like, yeah, you've been there 3 years. Same with all the European leaders. You know, Keir Starmer, obviously Prime Minister of the UK, got the leaders of France, Germany, etc. These countries are all saying that, oh, we want to be involved in the negotiations because it's our, it's happening in Europe, it's our problem. It's like, well, why haven't you been involved before? Well, we'll tell you why, because there was no negotiations, because you guys are incompetent and Russia don't listen to you. And there's really no reason for them to listen to you. I mean, it's not like Russia were losing. I mean, they were losing more men than Ukraine, but Ukraine don't have as much men as Russia. Okay? And, it's like the U-turn that's happened just from, and I'm talking, I'll speak solely for the UK, right? The last 3 years, all I've had seen from British politicians from all sides, except maybe Nigel Farage and Reform UK have had a different approach, but they're new. Conservatives and the Labour, right, left and right, doesn't matter. They all have the same view. Russia can't give up. Russia can't give any land. Russia needs to fight to the end. And then as soon as Trump comes in and says, no, we're going to end this war, they've all completely switched up. And then now they're suddenly saying, well, we're going to be part of it. We're going to sort out the peace. It's like, no, you're not. You had your chance and you blew it. Step to the side. You guys meet in France or go to Turkey, have your conversations wherever, right? With each other, by the way. It's not like they're talking to Russia. They're talking to each other. USA, Trump comes in, within a month, he's on the phone, well, less than a month, he's on the phone to Putin himself, talking about the future of what's going on in Ukraine, and as well as a load of other things, apparently. Then a couple of weeks later, he's sending his guys to go meet with the Russian guys in the Middle East, right? Well done to the Middle East for hosting that. Probably it goes well for their future. But it's just like, they're so incompetent, and it's just satisfying to see, because in fact, also, the European leaders don't even deserve to be at the table. And I don't mean like because I don't like them or I don't agree with them. I mean like, no, you don't deserve any credit. And I'm not the only one who thinks that. I can tell you right now, I guarantee you that's what Russia's thinking. Russia's thinking, well, hang on a minute, all you guys have been talking bad about me. You've been calling me a dictator. You've been putting, tariffs and everything on me. Everything you've closed all the embassies, etc. No, you're not getting a peace deal. Trump can get it because Trump wasn't president. Trump, didn't put any restrictions or anything like that on my country. And now, he's getting the reward. So Trump also made this comment. This is about a minute long, so it's a bit of a longer watch, but this is something that I've been saying as well about Ukraine in terms of they haven't had an election. Right? I mean, he's kind of, I'm not saying that Zelenskyy is a dictator, but he's not very popular. He's sending loads of people to die. He's, crying because peace deals aren't being made without him involved. If you were a good leader, you'd be saying, and remember, Ukraine has to know its position. They're not up here on the hierarchy. So you want people to help you? You want America's help? Well, they're helping you stop people die. Beggars can't be choosers. Accept it. Stop crying. But this point about elections, I'll let you hear it from President Trump himself because I think it's important. And he breaks it down very well. And then I'll break it down for you after. Here we go.
We're hearing that Russia wants to force Ukraine to hold new elections in order to sign any kind of a peace deal. Is that something that the U.S. would ever support?
Well, we have a situation where we haven't had elections in Ukraine, where we have martial law, or essentially martial law in Ukraine, where the leader in Ukraine, I mean, I hate to say it, but he's down at 4% approval rating, and where a country has been blown to smithereens. You got most of the cities are laying on their sides. The buildings are collapsed. It looks like a massive demolition site. So many of the cities. I mean, they haven't done it in Kiev because I guess they don't want to shoot too many rockets in there. They've done it 20%, but they haven't done it 100%. If they wanted to do it 100%, it would probably happen very quickly. But you have cities that are absolutely decimated. And yeah, I would say that, when they want a seat at the table, you could say the people have to, wouldn't the people of Ukraine have to say, like, it's been a long time since we've had an election. That's not a Russia thing. That's something coming from me and coming from many other countries also.
It's a good point. It's a very good point. I mean, like, and here's the thing. Like, you need to compare what's going on over there to what's going on, because they like to do that with loads of things, right? They like to make the point, well, when you talk about peace deals, and in the peace deal, Ukraine's probably going to lose a decent portion of its country to Russia, or a lot more than they were hoping, right? People say, oh, well, if that was happening to the UK or USA, would they give it up? And it's like, well, no, but we're not Ukraine, and neither are the United States. And they like to make that comparison, right? Basically to justify Ukraine wanting to keep going and keep going. But then when you make the point and you say, well, hang on a minute, they haven't had an election. I mean, would we just not have an election? I mean, could you, think about it? Could you imagine if Donald Trump, right, had, USA got invaded and they were in a war whilst Donald Trump was president, and when his 4 years was up and he didn't have an election, could you imagine that? They'd say he was a dictator. I mean, they say that now, but they would literally say he is a dictator. They'd say he was tyrannical. They would call him to Stalin, Hitler, all of these things. But when it's Zelenskyy, well, then you justify it. So you're comparing Ukraine to the United States, to UK, if you're one of these warmongers who just wants the war to keep going, which a lot of the politicians in the UK and in Europe are, and so would the Biden administration. But then when you make the comparison and say, well, hang on a minute, well, in World War II, we had elections. We had an election. Like, the United States have elections in wars. Like, good countries have elections in wars. Well, just because there's a war, this guy just gets to remain in power longer, unelected at this point. As Trump points out, very low approval ratings. How about we stop thinking about what Zelenskyy says and start thinking about the people of the Ukraine? Because right now, he is technically not representing them because he isn't elected as of yet. His time is up. He's kept going. And I think it's a valid point to make. Now, Keir Starmer. Keir Starmer is obviously trying to get involved because I don't know why, actually. I don't know why, but it's not really helping. But I'm just going to read you some of the things he said. It's so funny. So, okay, so he basically said the other day that he's willing to put British troops into Ukraine, which is a bad idea. Because, okay, here's what I say. Yes, Russia know that, the UK, all the politicians have been talking complete shit about them and, calling Putin a dictator and all of these things. But those are just words. Oh, and obviously they sanctioned them loads, but those are words, it's economic, but if you put British troops in Ukraine, ready to fight Russian troops, well, then you're literally just bringing us into war. You're escalating things without realizing, right? I think that for the meantime, let Donald Trump take over and let Donald Trump sort of sort it out. Because I feel like people obviously know Donald Trump, art of the deal, uses the leverage, right? I feel like he's not going in there blind. He's going in there with plans, and he has leverage over them in a sense, right? But Europe don't, because let's say British troops, and maybe you guys will. I'm trying to describe the only logical, situation scenario that would come from putting British troops into Ukraine. Now, when I explain it, it's going to sound like all the leaders of these European nations are warmongers. I'm not saying that's the case, but it's going to sound like that. And I mean, if you could describe it another way, I'd like to hear it. But okay, British troops are in Ukraine. Russian troops, like, to protect them. As soon as a bullet is fired, we are at war with Russia then. Is that worth it? What do the people of the United Kingdom think of that? I don't think they like it. I think a lot of, and look, I know that a lot of the UK actually do support Ukraine and everything, and they don't really mind about the money being spent, although I don't think they know the ins and outs, and I don't think they understand how much of the money is being spent in Ukraine that could be being spent in the UK, but that's a different conversation. But I don't know how they feel about the potential of going to actual war with them, especially now that things are going to the are at the end. But because let's remember, you talk about NATO and all of these sort of things. Well, if you're putting all these European troops into Ukraine, then what they're basically doing is having them join NATO without actually joining NATO, which is what all this issue was about. If you believe Vladimir Putin, some people don't have to. Personally, I do. Yeah, I just think it's problematic. It's problematic, and oh my god, see this is funny, right? So, Keir Starmer's also had a little meeting. This is going off topic a little bit. I've just seen this. It's so funny. I saw this yesterday, but it just reminded me. He thinks that there's loads of Islamophobic stuff going on in the United Kingdom, so he's meeting up with a load of Muslim leaders across businesses and civil society to discuss a plan for change, which will improve the lives of working Muslims in the country. Like, again, this is what you're spending your time on? Muslims feeling like all the people who were arrested for protesting against a Muslim guy who killed 3 girls were arrested, right? So, I mean, how can you say it's Islamophobic? It's the opposite. It's English phobic. Just like, just stop with the bullshit. Just focus on things that matter. No, like, I don't know. I feel like maybe we should have another vote. Maybe there should be a referendum. New election in the UK. Don't know how well that would go.